Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Andrew Michaels, and I'm here to help you. That's right. I enjoy coming on here and helping you. But before we start today's video, there has to be a tiny disclaimer. We're going to take a depression test, a self-diagnosing test, to help each other deal with the symptoms and the disease of depression. Now, this is strictly a role play for entertainment purposes and relaxation purposes. Under no circumstances should this be considered any form of therapy or treatment. I consider this subject much too important to not address it by breaking character and asking you that if you take this test with me and you feel that you're suffering from depression, that you seek out the counsel of a trained therapist or doctor. Don't suffer alone, and don't suffer in silence. Depression is a silent disease. It's a hidden disease. And you don't have to go at it alone. So between you and I, let's promise that today. Okay? This is just for entertainment purposes. Okay. What we're going to do today is take a self-diagnosing depression test. Now, since, clicking on it right now, I feel very strongly about this, and I worry about your well-being, I'm going to take the test with you. Okay? Now, it's just a matter of punching some boxes. Okay? So, for instance, on the first question, I feel sad. Would you answer that most of the time, often, sometimes, rarely, almost never? And I would click sometimes. Number 3, and so on. The next question is, I feel agitated or restless, pace, am unable to stay calm, or need to move constantly. I would say rarely. I feel worn out. I would say often. I'm getting older. I feel so guilty that I can barely take it. I would say often. Okay. I'm curious what your answers would be. Okay. Let's see. When I wake up in the morning, I feel like there is nothing to look forward to. I'd say sometimes. I think about death. Believe it or not, no. Almost never. I don't personally fear death one bit. I don't know if that's exactly what they're asking, but that's how I'm answering it. When needed, I can make up my mind quickly. I would say most of the time, often. I get mad at myself if I do not achieve the goals I have set out to reach. I would say most of the time. If I don't reach my goals, I get very angry at myself. Okay. When something is bothering me, I cannot stop thinking about it. I would say often. Yes. Number 2. Okay. That's the first part of the test done. All right. There's a series of 101 questions. So bear with me. I hope you're enjoying this. When things go wrong in my life, I feel like I will never get over it. Sometimes. When I have a bad argument with a friend or loved one, I believe that will end the relationship. Sometimes I feel that way. I have a persistent feeling of emptiness. I'd say rarely. I feel slowed down physically or mentally, I'd say most of the time. I feel tired even after a good rest, sometimes. I feel very good today, which is strange. I'm doing this in the morning. I feel bad about myself, sometimes. I have recurrent thoughts about ending my life. No, I really don't. Even when forces beyond my control prevent me from reaching a goal, I still find a way to blame myself. Yes, a lot of times. I'd say often. Not quite all the time, but I keep myself up at night thinking about things going on in my life. Sometimes I'm not. I'm pretty secure in my life. Okay. One thing that can really help with depression is diet. If you're self-medicating and taking alcohol in the evening, alcohol is a depressant, and that can greatly affect your mood and your depression, especially the next day. Also, vitamins can help your diet a lot, and sunlight. Sunlight can do amazing things to help your mood and help your well-being, as well as make you feel good about yourself. Just going out on a sunny day. Vitamin D and vitamin E are not soluble vitamins, so don't overtake them, because the body can store them and become toxic levels. So it's very important you only take what a doctor suggests you take for vitamin D or E. These kind of vitamins can become toxic under certain circumstances. It's also important, if you're taking any kind of antidepressant drugs, that you don't drink, because both deal with the liver. That's how they're flushed out of the body. And if you're doing things to damage your liver, once again, alcohol can cause great amounts of problem, added with the antidepressant drugs on a physical basis, let alone a mental basis. Okay? So these are important things to think about. And for those of you who do self-medicate, I drink on occasion. Drink more sometimes and then less other times. Remember, you do know your limits. And if you're drinking too much or too often, you know you have to cut back. It's just not something you can do whenever you feel like it. You have to have restraints and control on yourself. Otherwise, you have a problem. And if you have a problem with alcohol, you do need to seek help. Okay? Next question. If I am struggling in work or in school, I tend to think it's because I am not smart enough. Sometimes. I really do believe in self, don't blame others. I always blame, come on, you can do this, It's not somebody else's fault, it's your fault. So I'm not sure if I'm answering this correctly. I feel like crying for no apparent reason. Rarely. I have trouble getting moving. Sometimes. I am full of energy. Rarely. I can forgive myself if I fail to achieve what I set out to do. Most never. I feel like ending my life. Never. Question 25. I overanalyze my relationships with others, finding problems that don't really exist. Sometimes. When my romantic relationships have ended in the past, I felt like I would never meet another person. Rarely. There's a lot of fish in the ocean, believe me. If you're depressed over romance or relationships, there is somebody out there for everyone. I might be a little rude saying that, but I wouldn't be depressed over that one bit. Now, I've been married a very long time, and I have a very wonderful wife and family, and I wouldn't want to lose that. But the truth of the matter is there's somebody out there for everyone. So don't ever be afraid to reach out and try to find someone special in your life, because they exist. They really do. There are people out there that have common interests or even differences with you that will find you intriguing and interesting. So there's absolutely no reason for you to go at it alone, to keep it simple. And I'm very serious about this. I've met a lot of people in my life that I find very interesting, intriguing people. Romantically, I'm very cautious, but I do know there's a lot of fish in the sea, so there's no reason to, be alone when you could be with someone and share your life, even for a little while, even on a not permanent basis. So remember that. Question 27. I am, or I have been told that I am, unusually irritable. Sometimes. I'll be fair. I can be irritable. I seem to be unable to keep moving once I get started. Sometimes. I feel I don't deserve to be loved. Sometimes. Problems that I experience take on a new life because I feel the need to examine them from every possible angle. Sometimes. I know I'm kind of copping out, but I am content. Sometimes. I can't seem to get started on important projects or tasks I need to take care of. I'd say rarely. I'm usually good about that. I am so tired that I cannot carry on with my usual activities. Sometimes. I know these feel like cop-outs when you pick the middle answer. I feel worthless. Sometimes I do. I can forgive myself for mistakes I've made and move on. Rarely. Right? Yes. I feel physically weak sometimes. I'm an adrenaline junkie. If I'm not really pumped up on something, I feel like, I know I look like an adrenaline junkie, don't I? Speed freak, huh? I can take care of myself and of those who depend on me as well as ever. It's getting harder, but I'll say sometimes. Question 38. Okay. Okay. I feel that I am unlovable or unattractive sometimes. I mess up everything I touch. Sometimes. Somewhat. Okay, now these are different. These are completely, mostly, somewhat, mostly, completely. So they've changed from true, 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 false, false, false. Okay, so the questions of parameters have changed. I feel like I am hurting people by just being around. Sometimes. I do not get pleasure anymore out of most or all of the things and activities I used to enjoy. I'm getting older, so my tastes are changing, so I'll say sometimes. Reaching decisions is torment for me. Sometimes. I have experienced a drop in libido. Sometimes. I'm getting older, to be honest. I'm blaming it on old, but a lot of it's physical. I'm not in the best shape of my life, so that's not helping. There are many things that make me happy to be alive. Somewhat. I can think as clearly as ever. I would say mostly true. I feel that I am a burden. I sometimes feel that way. It's 50-50. Okay. I'm a failure? No, but I'm not where I want to be in life, so that's somewhat. I feel that I am important to someone. Yeah, I think my family needs me. And some very close friends. I think they really do need me. I have lost interest in, I'm going to change that to true. That's a completely true statement. I know I'm important to someone. I have lost interest in most or all of the things and activities that used to interest me, somewhat. My concentration is intact. That's mostly true. My efforts to change my life are futile. Well, I don't believe it, but it's mostly true. It's very hard to change your life. I have nothing to live for. I feel I am a valuable member of society. Somewhat. I actually have kind of an important job in real life. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose. It only matters how hard you try. Mostly agree. Either agree or disagree or strongly disagree. Okay. Number 55. The way I deal with my problems is to put them out of my mind as much as possible. Somewhat, you have to move on. When something goes wrong in my life, I get stuck in a rut, feeling that I can never pull myself out of whatever mess I'm in. Sometimes. When friendships fizzle out, I tend to blame myself and my personality rather than the other person. That is completely true. It's definitely my fault. I'm an idiot. Problems in my life tend to snowball into a depression because I don't feel that I can control whether or not the problem is resolved successfully. Let's say somewhat. I tend to be sensitive in interactions with others, noticing even the subtlest insult or mocking tone or voice. That's somewhat true. I really do pick up on people's signals, and it prevents me from being friends with a lot of people. I'm very selective about my friends. When a project goes badly at work, my first inclination is to blame myself rather than blaming others or the situation. That's mostly true. At work, I'm very successful. I'm very knowledgeable, and I'm very sure of myself. So there's some dichotomies in my life. Maybe not. Okay, question 61. Even if I do well in most of the things I do, I tend to focus in on the few areas where I didn't excel. Let's say somewhat. I only seem to notice the sad or negative headlines, even when there are good things going on in the world. I don't watch the news, so I would completely disagree because I don't pay attention to the news. It's all garbage. I hate politics. I mean, this might surprise you. I am not a Democrat or Republican. I identify myself as an independent voter. And I despise politics. I despise almost everybody running for president. I have no interest in any of them. I think they're all a bunch of idiots. I don't think there's a good... I like that guy from Virginia, the governor from Virginia, but see, he won't get it. But he'd be a good running mate for the Democratic Party. But say they won't do that either because, he's not what they want. I hone in on disapproving faces, even when most people around me are supportive. I think it's important to look at the negatives, but let's say somewhat. People are so mean sometimes. It's like they take pleasure in others' misfortune. I would agree with that. Mostly agree, not completely. There are good people out there. But there are people who just prey on others, and you have to cut those people out of your life. If there's a toxic person in your life, you have to get them out of your life. It's not okay to abuse you. It's not okay for you to be put down by somebody on a regular basis. And if you're in that kind of situation, it's okay to get out. Tell that person, goodbye, see you later, don't want nothing to do with you. It's okay to stand up for yourself. Okay? It doesn't matter if the vast majority of people approve of my work, even if one person makes a critical remark. That's all I will notice. That's mostly true. But there's a reason for that. I like to focus on, okay, what can I do to fix this so it'll go away? So maybe I am at fault. I don't like blaming the other guy. I like to say, okay, let's fix this. Let me fix this. Let's fix this. And that's not always going to work in real life. But I don't look at other people, and my problems aren't external. They are something I can control. That might be not necessarily the best way to go about life, but blaming others for everything goes wrong in your life is just sort of, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. When something goes wrong in my life, the worst thing about it is facing the judgment of others. I really don't care what other people think, but that's true. So it's a somewhat. I don't want to tell others when bad things happen to me, because the last thing I want is for them to pity me. I would say that's mostly true. I only tell very, very close friends when I'm in trouble, not feeling well. That's very true. I feel that I am loved unconditionally, but my friends, family, by my friends, family, or a romantic partner, strongly agree. I'm very well loved, and yeah, they love me for all my faults. When I feel lonely, I tend to view it as a temporary situation rather than a long-term situation. Mostly agree. To me, doing my best isn't good enough unless I am actually successful. Well, somewhat. I am more likely to blame my failure on lack of intelligence or ability than on a simple lack of effort. Yes, mostly true. Mostly agree. When I make a mistake or do something foolish, I get embarrassed thinking about what others must be thinking. I really don't care what other people think. I'm more worried about myself, but I'll say somewhat. No, I'll say disagree with that. I don't really give a crap what other people think. I'm cognizant of what other people think, but I don't dwell on it, because I know not to tweak people in the first place on a day-to-day basis, because I don't want to have problems. My mind is constantly at work. I think about issues in my life at every opportunity. I'd say I'd agree with that. I have a big imagination. I'm constantly thinking, constantly planning videos and working on stuff. I keep failures and disappointments to myself to avoid being judged by others. I don't broadcast them. I'd say somewhat on that. Often I act based on what others will think of me rather than based on how I would really like to proceed. I think we all play act. I'll say somewhat. Okay. All right. The world is how it is. No one can change it. You can change your life, but you can't change the world. So the way they worded that, you can change yourself, but it's very hard to change the way the world perceives things. Question 77. If I get called into my boss's office, I tend to believe that I am in some kind of trouble. If I get called into my boss's office, it's going to be a bad day for him and me both. I don't like going to the office like a little boy to the principal's office. I'm probably a little narcissistic and megalomaniac when it comes to that. A little bit of a megalomaniac. I tend to think in black and white everything is all or nothing. I would disagree. There's a million shades of gray in all issues. And I think that's why we need to be more understanding and accepting of human beings around us. Because everyone is so different. That question doesn't bother me, but I think it needs addressed. I think we need to be very understanding, accepting of others, because everyone is very different. If I don't get first place, I'd rather not play at all. I disagree with that. If a friend upsets me, I no longer consider him or her my friend. I would somewhat agree with that. Usually the friendship's going downhill at that point. If you start fighting over petty things, it's not going to stop, like politics or religion. That's why I never bring that stuff up. Never. But I've actually had friends quit being my friends because they just want to talk about politics and religion, and I refuse. I get angry because I don't want to discuss it. I don't want to talk about the president. I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about issues. And it just snowballs into this anger that I don't want to do this, and you're just forcing me to talk about this ridiculous crap, and it's all bull crap. All these issues on the news, these political issues, are almost 99% of the time, they're all bull crap. There's stuff going on in the world today that we aren't even aware of. The government's doing the best they can to keep things going in the right direction. Our government is so pathetic. It's no better than any other government, but it's the best system out there. I know it's kind of a double standard. They're doing the best they can, but you're in a chaotic system. It doesn't follow orderly logic, so things are always going wrong. The government does the best it can, and usually I always think of the government, especially the United States government, as a pendulum. It starts over here, it swings way over here, and then it swings all the way back. See, we had George Bush. Well, we had Bill Clinton, and it swings all the way over here to George Bush. Then it swings all the way back to Barack Obama. So it's getting ready to swing all the way back over here to the Republican Party, and they can't get their act together. They've got 16 people running in 16 different directions. They wonder why they look utterly, in my mind, pathetic. The Democrats are over there just sitting back watching, playing it cool. Do they realize that? Have they looked around, So I'm not happy with any of the candidates. So, like I said, I like that guy from Virginia, but I can't remember if he's a governor. But I'm sure he's a bad candidate. There's a million people out there telling me he's bad, but he appeals to me. So, so I won't mention any other candidates because I know I'll never hear the end of it. I just said I don't like politics in here. I talked about it. So I think it's because I'm getting forced to watch parts of these debates and stuff, and they're so horrible. And it's like, what did this idiot say today, and what did that idiot say today? And I'm like, I'm so sick of it already. And the election is not even until next year. It's like, who cares? So, whatever. There's, infant mortality rates. Can we talk about that on a daily basis? I mean, that should be like, hey, infant mortality rates in our state went up. That should be like a headline, and we should talk about that constantly until we fix it, There really isn't much else to talk about till we fix that problem. In my mind, so. Okay. Once I've made up my mind about something, there's a good chance I won't change it somewhat. I'm very open-minded. Even when I am in an argument with someone, I keep in mind that there are many sides to the story. I'd agree with that. When I perform poorly in school or at work, I tend to believe that it will lead to extreme consequences. Not really. They have a hard time hiring anybody nowadays. It takes so long that they don't want to fire anyone. Always remember that. It's very hard to hire people in most jobs. So they're not going to fire you unless they have to, because they don't want to hire anybody. They don't want to do it because your bosses are as lazy or lazier than you are. So if we can just get them to show up every day, we'll just leave it alone. So you're not going to get fired. You might get yelled at and picked on, tormented, but you're not going to get fired. So, okay. They just don't want to hire anybody. Okay. 84. My stomach gets upset for no identifiable reason. rarely. I perceive insults and jabs where others see none. Rarely. I experience extremes in mood, moving from elated to and hyper to deeply depressed. I'd say never. I'm pretty even-keeled. I've been called overly sensitive. Sometimes I've actually been called that by family, people that know me. I take every small issue with friends or loved ones to mean that they no longer want to be around me. Rarely. I get into moods where I think I can do anything, where I believe I have special powers, or I think that I am someone of great importance. Honestly, rarely, or never. I am Dr. Andrew Michaels. I saved the world a few times. But this isn't about Dr. Andrew Michaels. This is about me. So, breaking character there a little bit. If you want me to take this as Dr. Andrew Michaels, it would be a very different test. Okay. Number 90. Now, these are very tough questions, and these are not questions to be taken lightly. If you answer yes or true to these questions in a negative way, you might need to contact a therapist or a doctor right away. Don't delay. Okay? And don't mock anyone who feels these things. We all suffer in life in our own way, and sometimes things are not always out in the open where you can see them. Question 90. I have a specific plan for killing myself. Not true. My body is aching. Sometimes. I feel in control of my body. Sometimes. When I get caught breaking a rule at work, I believe I will get fired. Never. Care less what they think of me at work. 94. Without trying, I have gained weight. Yes, I have weight issues. I have noticed that my appetite has changed, increased, or decreased without my meaning to modify it. Noticeable. I am concerned about my health. Often. I feel there is something seriously wrong with my body. Sometimes. I'd say rarely. I'm pretty healthy, believe it or not, for all the stupidity I do. Question 98. Have you experienced any sleep disturbances or change in your sleep pattern? Been having trouble staying asleep. Falling asleep. I've been sleeping more. Well, actually, I fixed my bed. I got a brand new bed frame. I'd say no. I've been really sleeping well lately. There's a physical thing that I wasn't. My son was jumping on the bed with the dog playing, and he broke part of my bed frame. I tried fixing it, and it didn't work, and ended up causing a lot of chronic pain, difficulty sleeping. So I recently fixed my bed, bought a brand new bed frame and everything, and I've been sleeping like an angel, and it's really helped my outlook on life and everything else. So sometimes, buying a new mattress, fixing your bed, cleaning your bedroom so there's less dust and dander in the room, all of these things, changing the blinds to let more light in, all kinds of things, going to bed earlier, all kinds of things can help you with your mental well-being as well as physically. And when you're physically feeling good, it can help you mentally feel better and stronger. Okay, question 99, tough one. During the past 12 months, have you experienced following events? Death of someone close to you, divorce, separation, or breakup of a long-term relationship, loss of home due to natural catastrophe, financial problems, divorce, witnessing a catastrophe, war, or violent death, loss of job, or the significant income, those within the last year. Okay. Loss of business or major events, diagnosis of serious illness, in yourself or someone close, major argument with someone, other major stressor not on the list? And I have to answer no. Been doing pretty good. Rate your level of daily stress from 1 to, I'd say, minor stress. Colleagues, arguments. So I'm a 5 out of 10, I think, on a daily basis of stress. I'm having a problem with somebody at work right now, a superior, a supervisor, who's just kind of keying in on me for fun. And it's causing me a lot of discomfort and stress. And I'm not able to handle it very well anymore. I don't like being tweaked. I don't know if you know what tweaked means. Just taking that little... I don't respond well to that. And I usually, I respond very poorly to that kind of behavior. And I'm usually very difficult when I do respond to that kind of behavior. I make myself a very difficult person to deal with. Just don't want to be around me, and I usually get my point across. I haven't got my point across with this person quite yet. I'm definitely going to hurt their feelings this week, and I don't think they're going to like it. And it's almost Christmas, so I'm really, really going to hurt his feelings. Make sure he knows that that was a mistake to agitate me at Christmas time to make himself feel better. I do believe that a lot of people tend to put you down to make themselves feel elevated and better. You don't have to take that. It's okay to stand up for yourself and correct people, or ask them exactly what they mean by that, and ask them to stop it, especially when you know it's very clear that they're having a laugh on your expense. It's okay to tell them, I'm not doing this. So don't be afraid to stand up for yourself, okay? It's very important. I think in this world we don't do that enough. We don't teach that. Parents tell their kids to take it. Teachers tell their kids to take it. And the kids feel this sense of, I'm going to be catered to and taken care of. And that plays into it. I don't have to stand up for myself and take care of this problem because I can just go along with the flow and I'll be taken care of. Stand up for yourself. Assert yourself. Make the world go round for you a little bit. And find your place in the world. The world can't necessarily change, but you can change. You can find your place in it. And you can make your life better just a little bit. So, okay. Last question. How long, number 101 questions. How long have you felt the way you described in this questionnaire? Oh, I'd say most of my life. Okay. I'm going to score by test. Snapshot of the test that I just took. Worry about the judgment of others. 47% out of 100. When you experience setback or problems in your life, one of the last things on your mind is what other people will think. This frees you from what, for some people, is a major concern. It also means that you are comfortable seeking comfort from others when you are in emotional pain. Therefore, the benefits of this attitude are twofold. You can seek out emotional support when you need it and are free from worry about being judged by others. That was a snapshot. Okay. I am, I guess, okay, wait a minute. All right. I scored a 47 out of 100 on that test. I'll put the test that you can take below in the links. I do suffer from some minor depressions in life. I think we all do. But anything considered over a 60, I believe, on this test would mean that you have some kind of disorder or issue that might need addressed. So I'm a little bit below that. I think my strong family and steady work, staying on schedule, trying to watch my health and my weight and what I eat, and controlling my consumption of alcohol and other drugs probably keeps me balanced That doesn't mean I'm a perfect person or I'm not suffering from depression or other mental illnesses. But in general, I don't think I necessarily need a therapist at this time for issues in my life. I don't have any major issues in my life in the last year that are troubling me to the point where I think I need to seek out help. I'm very secure in who I am as a person, and I'm just one of those people that does the best they can and tries to stay focused on, get up and get to work every day. And that can help a lot. I will tell you one thing, if you're not working, you will become extremely depressed. I was out of work about 3 years ago for 3 months. I changed jobs and everything was fine. I had plenty of money. That wasn't an issue. More money than I ever had in my life at that time. I had a severance, unemployment. We knew the plant was closing I was working at, so we were we had money stashed back, bills paid, all that, I will tell you this, I stayed working every day. I worked around the house. I worked on videos. I just really worked hard. Redid a lot of my house, and I never had time to do any of these things. So it was actually an exciting time, and I wasn't that depressed. But I did gain weight. I gained a lot of weight because I wasn't getting up and going to work every day. And it's been a struggle to get back down and get rid of that. So not ashamed, but it's just part of life. Remember what we said earlier in the video. If you think you're having a problem, please seek out a trained, licensed therapist or consult your doctor. If you're afraid to go to your family doctor, some people are. They're actually afraid to go to their family doctor. Find a clinic or another doctor in your area that you feel comfortable with discussing these things. Don't go it alone. Remember, this is a silent, deadly illness. And sometimes we all need a little help. From the test, it tells you that I do seek out the comfort of others, and I keep people very close to me, at hand and around me, because I need that comfort in my life. I need that help. I need that acceptance. If you find yourself in a position where you don't have these things, you need to start looking at making changes in your life and finding people that do care about you, and they are out there. There are people out there that care. I know I don't know you, but I care. I care enough to tell you that Dr. Andrew Michaels is a character. Mike Weil, the guy who's doing this video, wants you to be healthy and you to be happy. I don't want you to go through life hurting, because I'm not. I'm not living that way. I'm going to make changes in my life to make things better. And if it's good enough for me and everybody else to do what they want to make their life better, then it's good enough for you. Okay? You have just as many rights, privileges as the next human being. We are all equal in that respect. We're all different. None of us are the same. Short, tall, black, white, whatever. The color of our eyes and our skin does not dictate who we are as a person. It's what's inside. And you have every right to be a good person and enjoy your life, come home at night to a nice warm house and a good meal, and not to have to fight for it. You don't have to come home and fight over everything in your life. You should be able to have the privilege of having decency in your life and calmness and tranquility. So with all of that, I hope this test helps. As I said, again, we'll have the link below. You can take it yourself and learn more. I think this is a good test. I've seen some that I don't like that just immediately peg you as, depression. So this is a more complex test that I think zeroes in on specific issues in your psyche. Okay? Until I see all of you again, please have a most blessed day. My name is Dr. Andrew Michaels, and I am here to help you. Okay? Bye-bye.